I'm Judy Shaw for NYSE Floor Talk. Joining me today is Luis Guimarães. He is the CEO at Cosan. Luis, it's wonderful to have you here. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Judy. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So now, Luis, you recently held Cosan Day. Tell me, what would you highlight as the most important message that was presented to your investors at this event?
Yeah, I think on Tuesday was the day in São Paulo. We covered the whole portfolio, so all the CEOs and partners of the company have the chance to explain each of the parts of the portfolio, but we focus on a couple of very few messages where we have the portfolio we want to have at the sectors that we believe Brazil has the competitive and comparative advantage. We have a real focus on execution, so the projects are contracted in the growth in each of the companies are contracted, they have the resources, and our challenge now is to execute that on time and on budget. Thirdly, our EBITDA have been growing very fast over the last few years, and we will continue to do so by delivering these contracts with higher returns. And lastly, very important to have the people at the center of that, because our main challenge is not the projects, it's not the sourcing of funds, but it's the ability to have the right people to implement the projects and run the projects after they are completed.
Okay, so there's currently a global desire, Luis, to make a low carbon economy possible. How do you see Cosan and its business portfolio contributing to the decarbonization that is so necessary to combat climate change?
I think if you look at the energy transition, decarbonization, very good news for Brazil and very good news for Cosan and the companies we invest, because we believe Brazil has 5 areas that are very different and competitive to the rest of the world in certain characteristics. Renewable energy, that we play with Raízen mostly. Oil and gas, which have Compass, Movi, and Raízen there. Then you have agriculture, where we look after with Rumo on the logistics, and land with Radar and the other companies we have on land. Mining, through our investment in Vale and through the port of São Luís. And you call the carbon economy, where it's natural-based solutions that Raízen and our land company are playing on that. So it's all very triggered towards our portfolio, and our companies are doing a lot of work on that area. So I think the biggest one I want to say to you is second-generation ethanol, which is produced from all the leftovers from sugar and ethanol production, that we do that and transform bagasse, leaves, to have ethanol, which have a low carbon footprint, and we're exporting that. We have currently 8 plants in construction, and we have the first one to be inaugurated in a few days. So we're very excited about the E2G taking over to Europe and to the US.
All right, and finally, Luis, tell me, do you believe that Brazil has the resources to facilitate the energy transition?
For sure. As I said, the 5 sectors that Brazil has competitive and comparative advantages are there. We have challenges, of course, as any country and company, so we need to work harder on financing, locally and globally, to expedite the growth of this project and the speed. It's all about speed to market, the opportunities there. We need to work more on licensing projects. But I think this current government is very focused on that. Next week, President Lula and Minister Haddad and Minister Silveira will be here in New York during the UN Pact discussions, and I'm sure they will have great news for the world about how Brazil will contribute for the decarbonization of the world. And if Brazil wins, I think the world wins.
All right. Well, Luis, it's been wonderful to talk with you. Thanks for joining me on Floor Talk today.
Thanks for the opportunity.